I wish I knew how to quit you.
Then why don't you?
This is Codependent Content, a podcast where my partner and I discuss the TV shows, movies, and video games in which we've formed an unhealthy relationship. My name is Mattias, and my co-host is Shannon Riley. Join us each week as we try to make sense of the media we continually give our hearts against our better judgment, and commiserate with us as we struggle and fail to let go of the characters, stories, and worlds that we are entangled with. Because just when we think we're done with content, it draws us back in. Welcome back to the show that hates Star Wars but loves Star Whales. And what else does TikTok not like about us this week, Shannon? I'm a little confused on
the fact that I really, really care about when Sabine painted her nails.
Why would you care about something so superfluous, Shannon?
I love superfluous shit.
It doesn't matter, Shannon. It doesn't matter. They have told us that just enjoy the show, Shannon.
I know. I should just enjoy the show.
Just enjoy it.
I'll just enjoy it.
Hey, have you tried enjoying it, Shannon?
I'll try enjoying it. Jesus Christ. Welcome back.
I'm happy to inform you that I don't believe that any whales were harmed. Any actual Star whales were harmed in the making of this episode of Ahsoka, episode 7, the pentultimate, possibly episode. I don't know what pentultimate means now in terms of these shows, and specifically the Disney things, considering like it is one season, but also like it continues, and as the Marvel thing is when does the cycle ever end, Shannon?
No.
But here we are, the 7th episode, Dreams and Madness, which is what I called our podcast.
Dreams and Madness.
I called it the Land of Dreams and Madness, because I always like to put a quote in the title of our podcast instead of just take the actual title.
Right.
I don't know, try and find something that I really liked about it. And then they copied me, Shannon. I don't know what to say.
Do you get residuals for
that? They copied us. Speaking of which, the writer's strike is over.
Officially, finally.
We writers are now back to work, which is great. Actors are not. We actually do not have a date yet on whether we are going to meet with anyone. I say we. I'm not part of the guild. So you will still see like a lack of promotion, and shows are still going to be stopped. I mean, there's still a strike going on. And it's going to take a while before writers can, I mean, I'm sure they have a lot of things to pitch, a lot of things to start developing, a lot of shows that need to get back into work. And so I'd be curious to see like how that shapes up. We might still be in a little drought of content, things like that, but we can be happy that the writer's strike is over and they got mostly what they wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the stuff is apparently it's a good deal. I haven't looked at all the terms, but the majority of the big things that people wanted are apparently present, and that's cool.
Yeah.
And it's great because now, if, maybe there's some openings, and maybe I can jump into something. Who knows? Yeah, and we'll keep you posted on what's going on with the SAG one if we learn anything or hear anything, because we're about content, and we're trying to figure out how to keep bringing it to you, Yeah, and so yeah, we're talking about Ahsoka. This is Codependent Content. If you are new to us, talk about the things we love and hate about our favorite shows, because we're in a codependent relationship with them. And we spoil everything from the get-go. So if you haven't seen this episode of Ahsoka, you should check out now. Most of our feedback is pretty general in terms of what's happened previously. I'd say we were pretty harsh on a lot of things.
Correct.
Acting, things like that. A lot of people, I'd say a few people I think understood what we were trying to say. And they understood that there was something off about the scenes as well that they didn't like, and the chemistry wasn't there, all those kinds of things. Again, I don't blame the actors for any of that. I blame a lot of other things. And but I will say that what I have heard is that the casting for Ezra, which has probably been like the most anticipated casting, like even though that was the one they kept secret.
Okay.
You know, we heard very early on. Well, one when Rosario Dawson got cast as Ahsoka, that was pretty big news. I think that was, if that wasn't announced early, it definitely like was promoted like the day that those episodes were coming out. You know, and then early on we already knew like who was playing Hera, who was playing Sabine, all these different actors. I don't recall if we ever got like a huge announcement for Ezra, but that usually was stayed under wraps. So at the end of the day, people are pretty upbeat with Iman getting cast, and they say he looks like, sounds like, and then including this episode, feels like he's capturing the essence of Ezra. Do you have any thoughts on that not being a known, like not having Ezra as a known quantity? I've seen clips. I know who Ezra is. I kind of get a sense of it. But
I don't have any exposure to Ezra. I haven't seen clips or anything. So I feel that I don't know anything about Ezra as a person, just based on the little bit of time I've spent with him in Ahsoka. So I really don't have a strong opinion on him yet. Right now, I feel similarly about him as I do about like Morgan Elsbeth. It's like right now they're just characters that are there to further the plot. But I'm interested. Like I know all the backstories there, and that's why I keep saying like I do need to watch Rebels because the interesting story is there. I just need to go watch it.
Yeah, I mean, sure, absolutely. So yeah, it seems like we're all in agreement that the Night Troopers are really cool. Thrawn seems like a really big threat. We're all interested to see how he's doing things, and also Baylan. A lot of people are super interested in Baylan, as we talked about, even though we kind of argued a little bit about it last week in terms of like how we were expressing it. I think there's a lot of people that are very much interested in what Baylan is doing regardless.
Yeah.
Right. And then the big ultimate major thing is that we are a Shin, Hati, and Sabine fan club.
Oh yeah.
What do they call that? A ship? Is
yes.
there something new? Is that the
no?
I don't know if I would call this one a ship. It's just there's something else.
It's my
there's
headcanon.
There's no thing.
My headcanon is that they paint nails and kiss.
Sure. Yeah, so we can all agree on that one. So there's that little general feedback. Apologies if I'm not getting to any specific details or whatever. It is pretty late. We usually record this live. Not recording it live tonight because work schedules have changed, and we just got to get something out and figure things out. And so
I have been awake for 19 hours. Pew 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 pew.
What? That means you didn't sleep last night. What are you talking about?
I got up at 4:30 this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So 4:30 to 4:30 is 12 hours. 8:30, 9:30, 17 hours. I'm sorry. I added. See, she's delusional. May your delulu come trululu. Anyway.
Well, with that energy, do you want to get us started with the episode, Shannon? Would you like to bring us in?
Sure.
Would you like to stop training and bring us out of hyperspace?
Yeah.
And navigate the minefield that is Ahsoka?
Yeah. I'll land the Star Whale. I got this shit.
Great.
So we start.
That was a perfect segue, guy.
Honestly, it was pretty tight.
That was in terms of segues.
Some of your best work.
I'm gonna try that more often. Go ahead, Shannon.
Oh shit. So we get some quality time with Hera right at the beginning of the episode, where she gets to explain why it's okay that she blatantly disregarded direct orders, and it's because Leia said it was cool. And who do we get to see? C-3PO. Yay!
Oh, was I supposed to say that with you?
No, it's okay.
I don't know what's going on.
I built the excitement in my brain. I thought that was super fun. I understand it's a little bit of fan service and obviously a nod to the fact that Leia would have been an integral part of this time period, and now we do not have like a direct Leia reference available to us anymore. So I thought that was a nice little nod to her to keep the Leia legacy alive. Also, C-3PO just slaps. We got to see Chopper. Chopper was great. He was throwing some shade. He was giving some shit.
I would say Admiral Akbar, or if that I want to say there's a confusion. I think it is Admiral Akbar. I think other people have said it is, but also I might be wrong. But
I was
Admiral
like, or
Akbar,
we're racist and they all
was giving
look the same.
giving some good side eye.
Yeah.
Get it? Because the eyes are on the side.
I'm
of his
gonna
head.
need you to insert.
And he gave side eye.
He did give side eye.
He did give side eye. He had to turn his head though to do it. And I feel like he didn't need to. He could have just.
It was for emphasis.
He could have just turned his eye, and it was. I mean, it was already there.
You're right.
So he's technically always giving side eye.
He's always giving side eye.
That sassy Akbar. When he said it's a trap, he was being sassy about it. That was sarcasm.
No,
guys, it's a trap.
Guys, use your eyes.
Then the beat dropped, and then also, someone tell me if that is also, is it Nub Nub, the other guy that's like hero of the rebellion, helped take down the second Death Star. So I feel like if that's him also on the little council, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, but we didn't get to hear him speak or whatever, and I'm not sure. Is it just a person of the same species or whatever?
Right.
Someone tell me. Someone let me know.
Please let us know.
What information we have there. I'd like to know, because that was one of my favorite characters in Return of the Jedi. Because as a kid, I liked when he like bounced up and down and was like did his like whatever noises he did while he flying the Millennium Falcon, and then like gasping whenever they accidentally hit something, and then Lando's like, it's fine, it's a scratch or whatever, you know.
It's but a
It was
flesh
great.
wound.
It was great. I love that. Return of the Jedi was always one of my favorites. So please let me know. Is that him? Is that my hero? Great, thanks. Go ahead, Shannon.
It really bothers me that one man on the council, whose name I cannot recall, because he is unimportant to me.
The thing about it is, while I can understand what is being set up here,
Yes.
I can it's not. We talked about it before. This is not subtle.
No, we're not making high art here, so we have to like accept it for what it is. But the reason I am frustrated with this man is that he kind of disregards some of what Hera is telling him as like what fairy tale. He's like Jedi, non-Jedi. He says like a couple different things. He's like, it's all fairy tale. It's like it's all fake. It's all fake news. And I'm like, you guys have the footage of them breaking her out of the prison cell. So like if nothing else, this part is proven. So like you don't really have to extend your imagination that much further to think that they are now like doing something nefarious. Like you had her locked up for a reason. These people broke her out. They're doing something. So yeah, it just kind of bothered me that he was like, I don't believe any of these things are happening. This dark fallen non-Jedi is real. I'm like, you saw him.
False Jedi.
False Jedi. There it is. I'm like, you saw him on the tape. You literally saw him. It was him.
I think his argument was more against that was the idea that these are more disparate, unconnected groups of what's the word? Not defectors, but loyalists, you know, to the Empire, as opposed to like a organized crime unit. You know, these are the essentially the machinations of terrorists or just crime criminal gangs, you know, and they're not connected whatsoever, is what his idea is, especially when our boy, I can't remember his name, Appa, brings up that the Mandalore incident, you know, and which clearly sets this after season 3 of The Mandalorian, and which is great to know. But he says like that was just that one general,
Right.
and like I would still think that like it's still huge.
Right.
Like that was a huge group of people, and they were like did we not at least give information of like there was possible cloning going on, there was possible like in season 2 there was a building of the dark troopers or whatever they are, the giant droids that Luke took out, like you would feel like that even that would scream that there's something more going on. But yeah, just one guy. If one guy could do that.
Yeah.
Like if that's what we're dealing with though. So yeah, it's really it is really weird. And the energy that I get from this senator is like service industry drama. like he just doesn't want the other person to get the good shifts or whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of situation.
That's really funny.
That's everyone knows. They know what I'm talking about. Like, if you worked in the service industry, you know what kind of energy this guy gives off, which is not smart senator who should be running like any kind of, and it's not even in a political sense, in our own political sense, which also I guess sometimes does give off like similar energies of certain sense. It feels even more far-fetched, like more of a stretch for him to be in this kind of and to be giving off this energy than even in our own political sense,
Yeah.
So it is very weird and straining and ridiculous. I understand it, but it's
no, and I know I said a little earlier, but like we are not making high art. We are making an enjoyable space journey fairy tale show. So I understand that sometimes our baddies have to be a little caricature-y. Because I do like to remind myself too that like kids watch this show. You know what I mean? Not two grown-ass adults who have a lot of opinions on like the type of content we like to see. Like some 9-year-old little girl's watching this and she's like, wow, that guy's a dick. Who's that gold
Those
robot?
Exact words.
Who's that gold robot, Mom? And Mom's like, not a robot. Humanoid droid. Anyway. So yeah, I think it works in a lot of ways. I just am a little bit nitpicky about it. But yeah, there's always that one guy that has to like say some shit. It's like, you're just wrong. Just sit there and be wrong. And we'll prove him wrong eventually, I'm sure.
Well, that's the thing is like we're always justifying what eventually is going to come with the First Order because we have to show the incompetency, the blatant incompetency of the new. I don't think it has to come on as strong, But I guess if this is like to show that not only whatever happens with Thrawn, but also how this leads to even further problems. I'd be curious how else this ties into Mandalorian because this is also we got those little side quests into looking at how they're struggling to even their resources are just so stretched, and that to me that was even more believable than just a blatant like we're not going to send like someone wants to go and it's not about the resources here, it's just about like your own belief about it, I honestly felt like, was there any real consequence if Hera had gotten like relieved of her command or whatever? It's like she's not,
right?
What else is going on here? And then who's apparently like it doesn't matter because Leia's technically more in charge, and Mon. So I don't know what the heck is, how even everything is so weirdly connected. Like I don't know exactly what the stakes are here or whatever. It just end up leading to we just gotta show one, these guys are incompetent, and then two, that they're not gonna be prepared for what's to come.
Yeah. That's a good wrap up of that vibe. So that's all we see of Hera in this episode. So
And Chopper.
Chopper is such a baddie. I love him so much. All right, what happens next? I'm thinking of Ezra and Sabine rolling along in their little
But we can talk about
caravan.
them later. That's basically all they do. So the next thing is Ahsoka going and searching for she's training. And she's using a hologram, which I have since learned, or maybe you have learned, is that we've seen these holograms in Tales of the Jedi and in other formats, that this is not the first time we've seen that she has these and has used these. I believe she also may have used them to help train someone else. Could have been Ezra, could have been Sabine early on. I do not recall. But it has been used, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was cool seeing Anakin there and how she treats it. You could see that she still has a warrior spirit, even though she's definitely changed and she's a little lighter and she's not as, I guess she's a little looser about things. She's not as stoic about stuff or whatever. She's still a warrior. She's never going to be able to get rid of that side of her, you know? And her feelings have changed towards Anakin in a sense, that she's no longer hurting by that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine maybe seeing his face and pulling out these and like even training with his knowing his voice was always going to be like in the back of her head was probably hard. And so it is good to see that she has somehow managed to find a way through that and to look at it in a more healthy way, right?
Yeah.
So there's obviously some healing and that has gone on, which is great. That's the kind of stuff you love to see, Shannon.
Yeah, and I think this change in her personality is a little more in line with like Rosario Dawson's vibe too. Like she is more likable, and I feel bad saying that because stoic women should also be likable. But yeah, it's just nice. It's nice to see a little bit more personality from her now that she's a little looser. Her little poncho is real cute too. A little button-up sweater poncho she has going on.
Sure.
I really like it. It looks really cozy, and I would definitely wear it.
I'm excited that they had a scene here in the training center because, as you know, one of my biggest complaints was like intergalactic travel should not be that fast.
Oh, yeah.
And now we know that this is more or less been 3 rotations.
Yeah.
Because by the time she arrives, they
roughly
like, and even through like a little bit of shenanigans, Thrawn will have already almost completed his mission by the end of the day. So, basically gone through almost 3 days, which is great. I'm glad that there's something there. I know people felt it was like a nitpick, but to me, I want some sort of realism. I know that hyperspace is just fast travel. I know it's as fast as the plot needs it to be. Like, I get it. I'm not unaware of how Star Wars does things, right?
Yeah.
But even when I brought up the galactic thing, we had a lot of people be like, "What are you talking about? They don't go outside the galaxy." They clearly hadn't watched the show, and they were unaware that we had been introduced that there's a new galaxy and that they were hyperspace traveling to it, you know? And they were like, that would be impossible. Like, you have to really calculate all this. I was like, well, they did calculations, all that kind of stuff. I'm just curious about like how long like it takes, because to me that leads to like we didn't like the fast traveling Game of Thrones. There's a sense of like realism that we want in our fantasy, to a sense of like we understand that you might not show us the whole journey, but you got to give us a sense of how things how these people live day to day, you know, as we're trying to like understand the world and the lore and things like that, especially because we like living in this world, right? So like if we were to play Star Wars, you know, D&D or whatever, and like go into like we can't, sure, we could just fast travel and do it, but I'm like, okay, well, how much time do we really have, you know? What kind of sense, like, give us the fluctuation, give us a little bit of something to like hold on to there, you know, give us, especially like y'all act like I'm nitpicking, but like Star Wars is all about nitpicking itself. We've gotten books, we've gotten encyclopedias, we've gotten things that give you. This week we've learned that they are renaming Jizz to Jats.
What?
So, Shannon, are you aware of Jizz?
I am aware of Jizz.
The in context.
I said what I said.
In context of Star Wars.
Yes, jackass. My answer didn't change. I mean, no, what? Yeah, music.
you people get on to me because I will often treat Shannon like she doesn't know things, but you will be, for those at home wondering, you will be surprised to find that this is the 1 out of 10 times that I've mentioned something that she does know what I'm talking about.
That is an incorrect statement. Because I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know?
No, I do.
You do?
I have the giggles. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know what Jizz is. It's music.
So yeah, they're renaming it to Jats. It's
Why?
important. These things
That's
matter.
cool,
It matters, right?
Jats is a cool name. I'm going to name a cat that.
If we're like,
Jats the cat.
It matters whether or not this ship can go to hyperspace and this one can go. You know, like y'all cared about the Haldo maneuver and whether or not that was fucking possible, and y'all got mad at that. And now you're getting mad at us for being like, hey, just give us a, like, this is a perfect opportunity for a scene. They did it. They gave us a scene someplace else in the ship. I still don't understand what Morgan did for the whole 3 days on their little hyperspace travel thing, like, because apparently she just stood at the
her whole job is just to question what Thrawn is doing, so the audience can figure out what Thrawn is doing as he monologues it to us. Yeah. So that's all that was her job.
Yeah. But and stand at the front of the ship. No,
she doesn't actually even exist until Thrawn needs to be questioned so he can explain what he's doing. Right. Otherwise, she just like falls into the ether.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad that they gave us this scene, and it was really cool to. They come out of hyperspace. They go through a minefield. The whales get away. Maybe some of them die. I'm not exactly sure, but I
don't think any of them died.
Really
hopefully,
there was like one brief shot where I was like, "Oh, it looked like one didn't make it out," but I wasn't sure. I couldn't really tell.
Wow, your cold open was that no whales were harmed in this episode of Ahsoka. So, Animal Protection Services. Cuff them.
Shannon, it's CGI. Why does it fucking matter?
What? I'm still stuck on Jats, honestly. Did they rename it because Jizz?
Yes. And actually, I don't know that they're renaming it, but they're just maybe not referring to it as much as now they're going to start referring to Jats as like the premium musical taste of the.
I also shall be calling it Jats now. Anyway,
what are you calling it? Never mind. So they make it out. They go through the minefield. She goes into hiding. Mm-hmm. They're not able to like take care of her, and she tries to reach out to the Force to find Sabine.
Yes.
Which seems quite obvious to me, but okay. We're not nitpicking. We swear. And Sabine and Ezra having a conversation on these non-rolling houses.
Very disappointed.
They look like roly-polies. I wanted them to roll.
I also wanted them to roll.
They do kind of. There's like a way that they...
They like trundle, but they don't roll.
It's like, yeah. I'm hoping that one still rolls up, but I don't think it will. So yeah, didn't expect them to fly. But yeah, they're dry. He has one. That's his house.
That's his house.
Shannon, would you live in a roly-poly?
Fuck yeah. No questions asked. Absolutely. Can make that shit cozy as hell.
And they're talking like she's been catching him up on everything that's been happening, pretty casual stuff. Any better than last week, Shannon?
Yes, because there's not as much riding on this. You know what I mean? Like this can just be a scene, and that's fine if that's how they want to play it. But something I notice about Ezra specifically in this episode is that he mentions going home like
once.
No.
More?
Yeah. I'm at least 3 different times.
Great.
He mentions like being excited to go home and wanting to go home. And I'm like, so he's dying, right? Like he's not making it home. I feel.
That'd
personally.
Be an interesting way to take it, yeah.
And yeah, I guess with Star Wars, I'm really never on top of the ball with what I think is going on. But usually, even referencing the video we watched about Jesse Pinkman is like, you have the thing the character wants and then you take it away from them. And usually when someone's mentioned something multiple times, it means that it's like not going to happen for them.
Yeah, I mean, and everyone, I mean, Sabine got what she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Baylan's all about giving people what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
Ezra seems to be getting what he wants. Ahsoka is, while I guess she wants to stop Thrawn, she hasn't exactly got what she wanted, but she's not in a spot where she cares that much about those things anymore. You know,
Mm-hmm.
she actually cares about the reunion stuff. This all ends pretty happily. So something you would think is going to be hopefully devastating to our characters by the end
The
of this
shoe
episode,
has
you
to
know?
be somewhere. I'm just not sure where it
That
is.
is yeah. I wasn't worried about that, Shannon, until you brought it up, but yeah.
I feel like that would be a really big swing too, to take someone, because Ezra seems, again, haven't watched Rebels, I know.
Yeah.
Seems like a very loved character.
Sure.
And I think it would be devastating to introduce him in live action for as briefly as he's been here, maybe give him a lot of weight in the final episode and then lose him.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, and not to jump too far forward with different things, but there seems to be like his kind of there's still things that I wish I understood what he was up to, instead of just hanging out with a noti and then just living in this roly-poly and just kind of not really doing anything. Because we don't get any payoffs of like, he wasn't wreaking havoc on stormtroopers while he was here. He wasn't seeking answers through the Force of like what his ultimate purpose is. You know, he wasn't even trying to get home or anything like that. He was just waiting, as far as I can tell. Maybe there's more that you can fill into the story. Maybe there's more we'll find out next week. I don't want to jump ahead too much, but there does seem to be like this kind of clear passing of the torch to Sabine.
Yeah.
Even in their conversation here, you know, of him like kind of being like, oh, that's great, like you're training with Ahsoka. He gives her a little bit of, you know, jabs for it, you know, of how weird that was before she's still training or whatever. But also there's like this kind of a little bit of sorrow of the fact that like he's kind of done with his training. He's kind of done whatever he's needed to do. There's like no longer a purpose for him in a certain sense. Are you getting that, or am I just projecting?
I can see where you're coming from. I feel that since there's a lack of information, we are like filling the area with water with what we can. I like when he says a little later in the episode that like the Force is his ally and the Force is all he needs, or however he phrases it. That just makes me feel that in the 5 years, however many years it's been, he hasn't been disregarding his like training or his connection to the Force completely, but we just don't know, because he's not giving us any information either about what he's been doing.
Well, we talked about it last night. The reason why I feel like there's a lack of training is more so because there's clearly something going on with this planet. Baylan's up to something. We'll get to him later, right? And he feels something. The Night Sisters are here. There's something strong that they're either, again, running from or that they have already tapped into. Like, there's a reason why this is a home world of the witches, right? And so what is his knowledge of this, right? And you would think that he would have some more knowledge that he would have given to Sabine, or I said, like, if he knows anything about this thing, would he be protective of it or fearful of it? And it doesn't seem like either. And so it doesn't seem like he has been tapping into these things, you know? And I feel like if you are stuck on a planet like, and you are training and tapping into meditation, all that kind of stuff, that's at some point in this 10 years, maybe 5 years, that it would have grabbed your attention in some way.
Yeah, I can see where you're going with that. His attitude is just really chill and like nonchalant about most things.
Yeah.
Even when he sees Sabine for the first time in however many years, and he just says like, oh, I knew you'd be here. Or like, I knew you'd show up, whatever he said. I knew, and then the fact that she was there. And I'm wondering if that's a hint that the reason he's so chill is because he understands like what Ahsoka was referencing, like the fated choices. Like it's fated to happen this way. And I'm wondering if he somehow knows more than he's letting on, and that we as an audience are privy to. But I'm not sure that's actually there. I don't think the show is actually giving that to me. I think, like I said, there's just such a lack of information that I'm like, oh, we're not taking Ezra and just making him nothing. So there has to be something here. And if he hasn't been trying to connect to the Force or doing anything, I'm not going to judge someone who paid a big sacrifice and then got deserted on a planet and like tried to make the best of it. And if his version of living that was being a nomad with these little turtle snail things and that's how he got by, then I wouldn't judge that. But I liked watching him fight and seeing the way that he wields the Force. It's like, is that another nod then to just like how good he was and how innately that Force connection came to him? Like we were referencing in the early episodes before we even met him in Ahsoka, that he was just like, he was always the good one compared to Sabine. Yeah, I don't know. He's just hanging out with some snails. Can't be mad at him. Oh, something that's still been sitting with me is the fact that Thrawn is so unbothered by Ezra being on this planet, even though Ezra is the mastermind that brought this mastermind down a peg and like kind of caught on and stopped him in his tracks. And the fact that they've just been on this planet and he's just been like, I'm just going to let him live on this planet. Whatever happens, happens. Like, I'm not going to waste the resources. Totally fine. But then he plays with like, I don't understand how Thrawn decides when he's going to send and call back his troops. Because this whole episode, there's a lot of like, go chase and then never mind. And they're like, okay, now go find her. Wait, never mind. Stormtroopers go, no, wait, come back. Like, I'm just not understanding the push and pull of when he decides to send people or things after people or things. And his excuse of, oh, we bought ourselves time to load the ship. I'm like, no, you didn't. Because Ahsoka wasn't coming after the ship anyway. She was like hiding in that debris field. Like, what did chasing her out of that debris field actually buy you time to do? It didn't actually buy you time to do anything. So I didn't understand his reasoning of like chasing after Ahsoka bought them time. I don't know if you care about that at all, but I thought about it a lot last night.
Okay.
I was like, that's weird. That's a weird thing to say.
Well, so what would you like to say about, you can move on to Thrawn if you want and talk about kind of what's going on with him and Morgan and
yeah, because I think I'm done with Ezra. I'm
Clearly.
sorry. I'm sorry, Ezra. It's not your fault. All right.
Well, I mean, I would say that like it would be, if he does end up dying, I would be a little more understanding of why they portrayed him the way they did, because no one wants to come and like meet this person for the first time and have him be like a downer, kind of, it's like he's happy-go-lucky, he's living a nomadic, like, fine, I don't think Thrawn cares about him.
I get it.
It's like a kid or whatever, and also like I don't know what's going on with Ezra. There's a lack of information, but like he clearly doesn't care about Thrawn either, So there's the portrayal makes a little bit more sense if we're just gonna be getting rid of him. It's sad. I don't want that to be true. And also then I guess the portrayal's not good in my view if they don't kill him. So now maybe they should kill him, because that's all they are. That would actually make more sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I'm behind. If people are enjoying this version of Ezra, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I don't like seeing hate for any sort of actors, and there's always going to be a lot. I feel like also there's a big, maybe not so much of this show, but we always get like people hating on any actresses in general for portraying anything in Star Wars, original characters or established characters.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a little bit like, while it's great that people love characters like Shin, and a lot of people are loving Ahsoka, and there's other people that like are getting behind these certain characters like Sabine, and it does bother me that people they don't do the same thing for the male characters. I want them to like Ezra.
Yeah.
I want them to like the actor. I want them, but like they're still. It's hard. It's so much easier for like we've gotten so much of Sabine, and she has given us a lot. Rosario Dawson has given us a lot. We've gotten like so much of them. He hasn't done anything.
No.
And it's great that people like him, but he literally hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
And he's not putting the actor is doing a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Is there as much effort there? You know, like there hasn't been the actual emotional weight of anything of like what his character wants or motivate any of those kind of stuff. You know, he's just being there, you know, and he doesn't get the same treatment as other, you know what I'm
Ezra, did I say this in an earlier podcast that like Ezra is filling the role that is typically reserved for like the female motivation to a primary male character, that she's more of a concept and a motivator than like a fleshed out character with an actual like story and existence behind her. And I feel like Ezra, because I have not seen Rebels, yes, I understand, but if you're meeting Ezra for the first time here, he feels more like plot devicey. Like he's there to motivate my two main girl characters instead of being an actual character with wants and like a life lived and stakes for himself. Like even when he was saying that he wants to go home, I'm like, I hear the words and I understand as an empathetic person, but like I'm not drawn into that yet because I haven't gotten to spend time with him. And the show is called Ahsoka. We can't spend hours with everyone I would like to spend time with. But I think that if there somehow was a way to put a little more emotional depth into the character without have watched Rebels, then some of this might feel a little more important.
Well, to me, it's like Rebels shouldn't be the thing because it's been a long time, right? Like to me, this character should feel different even if you've watched Rebels, you know?
Yeah.
Like I would hope that it's a different character and such a new character that you'd have to reintroduce us to him.
You're like
the same
re-meeting
way
him.
like Ahsoka was, you know, like it was.
Yeah.
I should feel like he should feel a little bit different, like, and there should be like glimpses of the old Ezra within him. That's what I would like want, you know. So whenever like we pick up on something, I was like, oh man, I really like that about this character, and they're like, oh, that's Ezra. That's what we like about him, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I want to get from fans. But right now, I'm not getting old Ezra coming through new Ezra. I'm just getting this is just Ezra, you know. We're not getting any sense of like who this new character is.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, they don't show us anything. Like before you mentioned like him having mentioned home 3 times in this episode, or even last episode he mentioned he wanted to go home. Like I know that's his thing, but it didn't land at all until like the very final. Was like, oh, I think I'm finally gonna get to go home. I was like, when was that a problem before? Like I know I know we've said it, and I know you've been here for 10 years, but like it doesn't seem like that was a bothersome thing for you. Like it didn't seem like that was something that was really weighing down, like that the weight of this was making you anxious and that you might not get, you know what I'm saying? Like we didn't feel that relief with him because there was no relief to be had because he didn't show us what he needed relief from, you know?
Well,
So it's like I can understand in my mind. In my mind, I get it. Like I'm not unaware of the trials that he's been through and having been on a planet alone with these people for 10 days. I can get that, you know? I just wish I could feel it a little bit more.
What the fuck was I going to say?
I don't know.
Oh, our nitpick of like wanting to see time pass, to understand like where you are in space, quite literally, I feel is also applicable to this situation, where if he has been stuck on this planet after making a huge decision and like missing a part of him for however long he's been here, this feels like it could have been like a couple weeks ago, like a couple days ago. You know what I mean? Like the weight of time is also not present. And I think if I could feel more of that weight of time, even if it did not burden personality, even just understanding the concept of how long he's been here, the fact that it's been 2 episodes now and we still don't know how long he's been on this planet. It's like, I think that would add a little more emotional depth to it too, because you would feel the fact that he has been here for however long he's been here, instead of just like hanging out by his snail truck being like, hey girl, I knew you'd be here. It's like 10 years later. Oh, were you just like waiting here, waiting for me to pop up? What's been going on? Have you just been standing at the front of the ship waiting for us to land? So that's kind of what this feels like. It's like, where has the time gone and how has it impacted you? So yeah, I guess that's Cat. I guess that's everything on Sabine and Ezra. We can tie them into.
We were moving on to Thrawn. If you have forgotten.
I mean, no, because I don't really have a lot to say about Thrawn either, because he didn't do a lot.
Well, no, but like they are showing that Thrawn is manipulating things. Is he the tactician that I want him to be? I don't know. I do hope that they get actual like military commanders or anything, some people to consult on like what would be things that you would do, you know, because it's really hard, I think, to show like good military action. We've talked about Red Rising before, and I don't know who Pierce Brown talks to, but it seems like he gets an understanding of like what is good. Like when he throws surprises at you, I'm like, I did not think of that or whatever. Like you have to like not be seeing it coming, right? You can't just give a name to a maneuver and be like, oh, he's doing war stuff. Like he's playing chess with everyone. Like it doesn't feel like an actual tactician. It doesn't feel so complicated to me that I'm not able to follow. And I feel like I should not be able to follow this. But it was pretty straightforward what was kind of going on.
Well, the way we met Thrawn and the Night Troopers was like dope.
Sure.
And it really set a vibe for me that I was like, oh, fuck.
I think they still are showing him in that light. I'm still a little bit of fear of him, you know, of what he's doing.
I don't, because, again, what do you mean you bought yourself time by chasing Ahsoka out of a debris field? She wasn't coming after you anyway. Ezra was not coming after you anyway. You didn't have to buy yourself time because no one was coming after you anyway, number one. Number two, you are a badass with your badass existing night troopers, and y'all got flattened by some fucking snail turtle people. A boy who hasn't used the Force possibly in 5 years. Sabine, who got hit multiple times but took no damage, either to self or to armor. Like, I wasn't feeling master tactical baddie. I was like, you didn't do anything this episode. You just said some words and like were excited that all the cargo was loaded onto your ship. And I was not as excited or as impressed as I was when we met him. The way that he like commanded the space, the way that he spoke, the way that he wanted information, the way that he was reading into people. So for me, this episode, he came across as weaker just because the things he was doing was not like enticing, exciting, high stakes for me. I was just like, okay, you're just doing what every other bad guy does, which is dumb shit. You put your stormtroopers out there to get shot down, and then we're just setting up like the next big fight that you guys are going to have. The more interesting bad guy, the more interesting fight was Baylan over Thrawn. Again, Baylan is like, he's the winner in my opinion.
Okay, sure. I mean, can we stick to one subject, please?
Yeah, it's Thrawn, and I'm done talking about him. So if you have anything else to say, go for it. He didn't do a lot for me this episode.
I'm gonna say that like there's something about the actor that's still doing a good job for me, and that he is presenting Thrawn in the light that I feel like we are supposed to be viewing him in, whereas like the actual details of the play, like in all generality, it doesn't seem like the writers knew how they wanted to get to certain spots. Like I was like, we're obviously propelling towards Sabine, Ezra, and Ahsoka getting together, and it seemed like everything was just more of, okay, we need to like take this one step, and then everything stops, and then now we need to move them a little bit further, and then everything stops, and then we now need to move them a little bit further until they finally get to their goal. So it was all like plot machinations. It was less like actual like stakes and I guess like story, and more of just like we'll just keep inching everything along, you know, plot wise. And yeah, so in that sense, like the military tactics don't work, and the actual whys of it, you know, like I can say he doesn't know what Ahsoka's doing. You can probably make the assumption that she's coming after him, you know, and even if she's gonna go for Sabine first, he knows she's coming for him. So there's something to be said there, and also, why not kill her now before any of that happens, right? So I don't know. Like I'm not like I can try and justify. I'm not here to justify his thing, but I will say that like at least the actor is believing.
Oh yeah, the actor's fine.
Like and there's something about the way that he treats everyone and the threatening nature of it, and it does feel like he has control over the situations when no one else does, to a certain extent. Like, am I buying that he's a tactical mastermind? No, but like he does feel like he's in control more than anyone else. He does feel like that that is something to be worried about in terms of the good guys, you know? And we know that he's probably going to come back. That's unfortunate, is that we know that he's not going to be stuck here. I don't believe so. We're under the impression that he is going to be the main villain of the new movie that is going to be happening. So it's unfortunate that we have that kind of information, but so this is more of like a setup for that. It's more of like a setup of like and I hope they get better at portraying it, but they have to portray him like kind of winning in some phases, you know?
Yeah.
So,
do you think that he was portrayed as winning in this episode?
I think he was being portrayed as more in control. He knew what was happening, at least in the story that's being told. He always knows what's going on.
Yeah.
No one else knows.
Right.
And it's because he is supposedly 10 steps ahead of everyone, you know, including a person that uses the Force.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, he set the minefield, and that set the things, and he's utilizing resources to a small degree, and knows when to back off and when to fight. And so I think there's a lot to be said there in terms of
know, I'm kind of surprised they had those. Let me ask you, am I conflating? Because I know Hu Yang was flying a ship that was able to fire onto the ground. Did the night troopers also come in a ship that shot at the ground? Or am I conflating the two?
They came on a transport. I don't know.
Okay. I was going to say, I'm like, if you have ships that can fire from the air, why did you not just blow up the caravan, and then everyone you wanted to be dead would have been dead, and you would have bought yourself all the time in the world? Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about Thrawn. I like that you are like seeing that energy. I'm glad that that's reading well for you, because my
goal was to be on the fan side. I still like Thrawn. I still like him as a concept and like what the actors bring into it. And I'm not going to, again, blame a character for not being written well enough.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and then who am I to say like what a real tactician would have done there? You know, you don't, it's more of the writing. It's more of the like, the things aren't being presented to me. You know, we talk so much about like Lord of the Rings and the Two Towers and how the Battle of Helm's Deep was done, and like how you show where things happen and where the good guys get a one. There's a lot of visual things that are happening where I'm like, we're trying to keep up, and then they're trying to show us like the tide of war on either side and how it keeps bouncing back and forth, you know. And this doesn't have that to it, you know. So
Yeah.
there is I can't tell you what it is, but when we've seen good battles on the screen, and I want this person that's what the problem is. Like, I want this person to be a threat
Right.
to everyone and to be these 10 steps and stuff. But it didn't feel like I was struggling to understand like what like. Felt like I could have come up with it, basically.
Chase, retreat,
retreat. I get it. It's like, I get it.
Yeah.
I was like, did you need to be doing that? Couldn't anyone, you know? And it's, again, when we just show like how incompetent the New Republic is, it's like, yeah, this is obviously 10 times better.
Yeah.
But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to see it, guys. I believe ish anyway, but we can move on to our favorites, the thing that does usually get your juices
Get us
flowing,
going.
I guess, you know, is
Get my jats
Baylan
going.
and SHIN. Go ahead.
No, I made
You
another
clearly wanna
jizz.
say something.
I made another jizz joke, but I said it over your words, and then I felt bad about it. Baylan, I like that when he not dismisses SHIN. Dismiss is not fully the right word, but when he's like, yeah, go chase your power, go do what you got to do. Like, I hope the best for you, and they part ways. I like that this is more confirmation that he's not like dark Jedi, bad Jedi, Sith Jedi. Because didn't you say that Sith Jedi, you like kill your master to become the master?
That's a Sith thing.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. It's
So again, just for anyone that's like, oh, he's so bad. Like, he's not. Hey, don't do that. He's not falling into those traps.
Well,
he's still
yeah.
operating under like a kindness and a code of conduct. And I like that he's like, yeah, if this is what you want, go for it. Because I want what I want, and I want, like, go ahead, be free. And she's like, okay, bye. Just fucks off. And I'm gonna miss our 1-2 power duo next week.
Oh, I'm sure we'll find a way to get both of them, but I just don't know what's. You're talking about Sabine and SHIN now? What is going on? What is this? What does this mean?
Are we gonna get Baylan and SHIN together though, like fighting on the same side?
I don't know.
You know?
I mean, I'm just glad that like there was a clear, still like a protective nature in him towards SHIN.
Yeah.
When Ahsoka arrives, he's like, I can't let you go down there, because now he's like, before it was like, we don't have to fight, like this map, this whole thing, whatever, stuff like that. Now he's like, you're gonna go after my Padawans down there. There's already 2 other Force people down there. Like, I can't let you go. You're clearly gonna be better than that, you know. So I have to stop you here, and because like I do care about this person, you know. So it was like a cool thing there, you know. And it's still, you know, it shows where that, like you said, his loyalties, where his heart kind of lies, that he does have a I guess a heart for his protege, you know. And where even in that, he doesn't feel like this is something that he wants to do, but he has to, you know. And I love that. I really do love that. And I love that we get confirmation that this power thing was not really what he was after. He's after something, and maybe power comes from that. But when he was telling her in way back in episode 3 or whatever, where I was like, oh, he just wants power. He wants something I don't really know. And he said, you know, you can get power, or we will get power, or what's in it for us. It's power more than you could imagine, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He was saying that for her benefit, because that's what she apparently wants. He can feel her ambition. He can feel that there's something driving her, and that's what we talked about. Like, there's clearly something that she wants that he saw in her, and this is the thing that he keeps doing with every single person. We didn't know it before, but like when he reached out to Sabine, he's like, "This is what you want." When he goes to Morgan, he knows what she wants. You know, he knows what Thrawn wants to a certain extent, right? Like he knows what Ahsoka really wanted. At the end of the day, he is on a different level of like empathy or sympathy, or I don't know, to like tapping into like the desires that are within people, which is super, super interesting to me. And now we get confirmation that all he was trying to do was like, you know what, you are a person, Shin, who is clearly wants something. I don't know, like I don't know what her backstory is and how he found her, but he saw that he could give her that and that she could tap into that, and he's not stopping her, you know? And how that shows his view of what the Jedi Order has done. Because a Jedi, a real Jedi, would not stop at, stopping this, He saw essentially how trying to withhold something from someone led to Anakin, and led to the fall of the Jedi. How being so strict on certain things of trying to control people's lives to a certain extent, trying to control who could have and who could have not, how that brought down an entire society, basically. And, I love that this just shows how he is at least trying something new. And it was not necessarily for his personal gain or whatever. It was like, just give it, like, allow people to have, what is that? Choice, free will? Is it, I don't know, communism or something? Like, what is it? Like, in a certain extent, it's like, it is just like letting people be free to choose what they want. Like, they have the talent, they have the thing that they want to do. It's like, do we really care about being the moral police of things or whatever? The Jedi were essentially policemen for a certain kind of thing. It's like, I don't know what exactly is trying to be said there, but I love that energy.
Yeah, I do too. What did you think about Shin being offered a seat at the table by Ahsoka at the end of the episode?
Well, sure. I thought we were going to talk about the fighting and stuff first before we got to the end of the episode.
Okay. Go ahead.
Do you not want to?
Yeah, I mean, that's what my thought was, is we're talking about like choice. So Shin's choice, she makes two like distinct choices in this episode. And the first one is to leave Baylan's side. And the second choice is to not join Ahsoka's side.
Well, what do you think of her choice to like leave? What do you think Shin wants? Like, do you think that's what she really
Shin
wants?
I think Shin thinks she wants power.
What do you think she really wants? A girlfriend?
But realistically, like, I don't know. I don't know what's important to her.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what the weight of the choice is, because I like seeing the connection between her and Baylan. So I would prefer the choice be like to work with him.
I'm curious if in him doing this and the way that he did it, if that will feel like an abandonment to her. Because I would feel abandoned, right? Like, I was here, I've been following you, I've been listening to you this entire time, and yes, this is like what I want, but at the end of the day, like, she thought she doesn't know where he's going or what he's up to, and she doesn't really get a sense. She's still learning, and though it's like kind of him being like, you're ready, you can go take what you want, take her power, he does give her like at least advice of like being careful of that ambition, even though he can't stop it. He's like, he talks about patience and ambition and stuff like that. So, but it feels like he's done with whatever it is, and how that might make her feel a little bit abandoned by it. Not looking forward to seeing how she actually feels about it, but in that sense.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Or maybe feeling abandoned.
And this thing is like, I don't know if we'll actually get that, if we'll actually pay that off or whatever. It'll be interesting to see. And it just makes me wish we got a little bit more of that relationship to like understand it. Like this feels like
It's
the
so
story,
good.
the like real story that's being told like in between like everything else.
Yeah.
You know? And that could be like that is probably the more interesting thing because it keeps zigging whenever it's you usually expect a zag or whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
And if Baylan is her only hook, like she doesn't seem crazy about Morgan. She doesn't really care about Thrawn. Like she's there because Baylan's there. And now he just like cut the string and was like, okay, be free. Figure it out. She's probably like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know.
She's cool.
And the fight between him and Ahsoka is pretty good. There are some clear Kurosawa references in the cinematography and how they like set it up. And so it was really cool to see that the samurai kind of motif going on. The fight scene and choreography was okay, though there were a few swings there where I'm like why are you aiming for a foot, you know, whenever you like you have like the whole body available there. It's like it's not clear how one thing leads to another, but it looks pretty. You know, like there's a clear, and again, there's this idea that she was not even trying to, you know, again, a little bit of a turn on what we were saying before, where before, I know you said that they weren't trying, she was just trying to get to the map, but there, to me, was a little bit more of like, she's going to do what she has to do in their first fight. And there's a little bit more aggression there, whereas this one was, did feel different from the first fight in multiple ways, both in how they choreographed it and then how they like even approached the fight as characters and stuff like that. And then like the clear indication that she's just basically stopping him, distracting him, and keeping him distracted long enough for her to, you know, get away or whatever. Yeah, feeling anything on there?
I didn't see that at all.
No?
No.
What do you mean didn't see it at all?
I didn't get the sense that she was just keeping him busy until she could get away.
Even when she said it?
Yeah.
She's like, I don't have to kill you.
Right.
I just have to like stop you or whatever, you know? So
yeah.
She outright.
But from what? From doing what?
I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, no, that didn't land for me because I was like, what do you, it's like Thrawn saying, oh, I bought myself time. I'm like, for what?
Okay.
Yeah, the fight choreography was fine. I just didn't feel a lot of energy from it, but it was fun to look at. I liked the way it looked. So yeah, that's my opinion on Ahsoka and Baylan's fight. I was reading. It seems like people on Twitter really liked that fight. People were saying that it read that it had really good energy, and it was one of the pieces in this episode that, even though the episode as a whole we all kind of know is like getting us to the next episode, it's like at least this part was like fast paced and fun and interesting. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I can kind of agree with that.
Sure. I mean, so she runs off. She goes to.
She steals his horse.
Well, it's not a horse. I think you said it was a cowardly horse-dog
Horse-dog thing. Yeah, I know you're right.
Which other people have added crocodile gator, and there was another one that I saw that was like pretty on
because of its snout.
Yeah. So you know, there's a lot of things.
It's a cool animal. I really do like it.
Sure. She steals it.
Yes.
And she goes and finds Sabine and Ezra. They are dealing with Padawan and 2 units of night troopers and some bandits or whatever. Didn't seem like very hard for those bandits to find that roaming Naughty.
Sure didn't.
Like, man, y'all managed to stay hidden for so long right until the plot needed you to not be.
In a place that's just flat surface.
Yep.
It's like,
great. Super good job doing that. Anyway, unfortunately, Shannon, we can also confirm that the night troopers are not.
They are mere mortals.
They are not. Well, that's sure. You wanted to go ahead.
Well, they didn't explode in green smoke, so they're not reanimated corpses.
Right. I never thought they were, but I mean, to the people who thought they, I guess, might be.
They're not
That's
yet.
not to say that we're not going to get reanimated corpses.
Right.
There's clearly something the Night Sisters want.
Right.
I just never thought that the Night
These
Troopers
ones are
were
not.
that. Like,
Yeah.
But I thought they would be a lot harder to kill.
Better at their job.
And would at least be able to shoot something or be tactically more advanced than to just stand all three in one. It's just,
Also, we talk about the passage of time. What have these Night Troopers been doing that their armor is so fucked up? Because it's not winning battles, apparently. It's not being good at your job. I know you always joke that stormtroopers are paper people. And I was like, oh, we got these real badass. Your armor's fixed with gold. They have been doing shit for 5 years. That armor's broken just from like being out in the sun. The one guy tripped and fell down. He's like, oh, my breastplate's broken. Someone fix it for me.
They keep trying to introduce like cooler enemies, but they don't. But these enemies never seem to like level up.
Yeah.
It's like I.
Give me the stakes.
Why can't we?
Please.
Why couldn't we have made them like better? Like it's they're only. I don't know. It's just they just seem like normal stormtroopers. I get like we need a fodder army. That's usually what we kind of need, but I don't. So far, everyone is on the same level, from the HK assassin droids to whoever was helping them was trying to fight in the woods on Cetos, to the bandits, to the stormtroopers. It's like what
they're all level 1.
There's where I would try something new. Probably Thrawn is to maybe do something. They give him a new name and a new face, but you can't take the trooper out of the storm. Anyway,
You can't take the trooper
but
out
yeah,
of the
but like
storm.
Ezra doing the Force thing with against Shin was pretty cool for certain little elements. We got these cool like Force on lightsaber action that we never truly really seen before. I mean, we've seen Kylo Ren do some cool shit. We've also seen recently like Obi-Wan, Darth Vader kind of do something similar to much more devastating effects against one of his Inquisitors, if you recall, where he was basically like using 2 fingers to like stop her from like ever attacking him and then like taking down another. Yeah, you're nodding your head, but I'm
nodding my head.
Remember if you remember at all.
I didn't remember until you said it.
Sure. So in that sense, I am, and someone mentioned is like, oh, he's basically an airbender now. Yeah, sure. That is kind of the vibe there. I think visually it could have been done better, but overall it was kind of cool to see where he's at and things. The banter about the lightsaber thing was kind of like went on like a couple lines too long.
Yeah.
And don't ask me why, but a lot of the dialogue in this scene and a lot of like how it happened and whatever felt a lot like the kind of stuff that I see in The Walking Dead. In those kinds of shows.
A CW show.
Do you, if you like those shows, that's fine. I loved Fear the Walking Dead for the first 3 seasons, and then it kind of took a dip for me. Like, I think there is some merit behind those kinds of shows. Star Wars is not one of those kinds of shows. But it feels like it's banter and cool stuff and no stakes, kind of talky, we got to give them something and then okay, now some basic action, with some wires. After having seen some like really dope wire work and One Piece and some amazing action set pieces with that, I don't think I'm asking for too much here to
it
just
can be done.
At least if you're gonna give us this idea, find maybe more creative ways to do it. And this goes down to like how we do wizard stuff. At the end of the day, it's just like wizards and it ends up being like a beam of light that they, there's no creativity. I was like, man, I feel like the Force, you can find more creative. If the Force is all you have and that's what you're going to use against blasters and lightsabers and you're going to say this is all I need. I was like, there probably was more creative ways than just airbending, kung fu, and then push. We got one pull in there that I recall, and so maybe some, Do you know what? I don't know.
I do. So, full transparency, the only moment of that fight that sticks out to me is when he blocks Shin's saber with both of his hands, and we get that like moment there. Other than that, I'm just imagining the actor being like, shoo, 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 on set with this like fake lightsaber. And I'm like, oh, it's a little goofy. I didn't mind it though.
It's always goofy when you say do it like that, Shannon.
But like I said, my biggest complaint with this was not that. It was the fact that, number one, of course, all the stormtroopers go down because they have to. And not all of them, but you know what I mean? They just all go down so fast. They one hit and they're down. But Sabine, helmet off, like just takes hit after hit after hit. It's like there's not a ding or a scuff or a scratch.
Oh, she's wearing Beskar steel.
Does it not scuff? Does it not get dirt on it? Does it not react to its surroundings?
It's like really strong, Shannon.
I believe you, and I wasn't sure if that sounded sarcastic. Like I'm actually asking, is it a type of metal that's like it's just so resistant to everything?
It's the same thing that the Mandalorian has. That Din Djarin has in the Mandalorian.
I'm trying to recall.
And Bo-Katan.
I'm trying to recall if they have any
armor.
damage or anything interesting on their little uniforms.
I mean, like Boba Fett has some damage.
Yeah.
I mean, that, like if he's using armor, like after a while, there's certain things that will scuff up something, but like normal blaster fire is not really.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense because it's just so strong.
The thing is supposed to be super resistant.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that makes sense. But even her face, I'm like, you were in the mud, you were in the dust, like your face is perfect. So again, I think for me, it's just like creating the reality of stakes. I feel like that's my biggest complaint, kind of overall. It's like writing you can kind of forgive sometimes because actors can be likable and you can like fill in the holes yourself most of the time. But if there doesn't feel like there's actual stakes, then it's like, why do I care? What am I along for the ride for? And it's like, I don't like watching. Obviously, I want our heroes to win, and I like that I can always count on Star Wars to let my heroes win. But it's like, where's the fun in it if I don't feel a little bit of that like tension in the moment?
Well, they do. Here's the thing. I will say that like she does take a lot of hits to her armor, and then Ezra clearly takes no hits to anything that I am aware of or could see. I don't know what his little chainmail armor might be, and it's not stormtrooper dog tags. I can hear you guys typing. It's not that.
That was a cool idea, though.
But I don't know if like he's got some like arm that maybe got hit under that. I don't recall him doing. But like there is a sense of weird, like, oh, she has the armor, so they can be good shots against her. But like, remember, he's not protected and he doesn't have a lightsaber to protect himself. So we don't again give him creative ways to like get out of it. We just don't shoot at him the same way.
Right.
And it's like you're not treating things the same.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not showing why, like, how she's utilizing that armor and how that changes, like, how she approaches things or whatever, versus him. You know, they're both kind of doing the same thing, and then it's just weirdly unbalanced to like the visual of it. And there's a lot of different things. Again, I don't know. Y'all can call that nitpicks if y'all want. I'm not. Do I hate Star Wars, Shannon? Is that it? Do I not?
No, we don't hate Star Wars. It's hard to watch things now and like just enjoy them at a surface level, if that makes sense. Like I miss respectfully when I was like 19 years old and could just watch anything, and it didn't have to be deep or perfect or well done. I was just like, that was a fun 30 minutes of my time. Because now it's like we just have so much content. And now I feel that I've seen so much good content. I've seen things done so well. I've seen fight sequences that like have me on the edge of my seat, wondering what's going to happen next because there's so much structural integrity that now it's like, oh, okay, yeah, we're doing this again. We're still doing this. This is something I've seen over and over again. And I'm feeling the fatigue of like all the Marvel things feel the same. All the Star Wars things feel the same. And I'm like, I'm tired of the same formula. So no, when we talk about like we're diving into Star Wars, I'm going to pick at it because there are things to pick at. But does it lessen my love for Star Wars? No, I'm super glad I'm watching Ahsoka. Like, I am going to watch Rebels because it's such a fun world to be in regardless. But if we're going to talk about it as a show and what we like about it as a show, you also have to then be okay with, like, there are things that don't work for me. And it doesn't take away my love or appreciation for, like, the universe or what it stands for, personally.
Yeah. Sure. I don't know that this is gonna help anyone. That they're probably still gonna get on to me for nitpicking things that I guess are, I don't know.
I mean, well, let me ask you: does watching this show make you like Star Wars less?
I mean, it's not my favorite Star Wars show, and I want to love it. You know, like I want to really like it. And again, there are shows I'm really looking forward to, like The Acolyte and Andor.
Andor's really
good. And I know that's just, you know, saying the water is wet now.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, I think to me, it's just, it's not even that like I don't like the show. I really do like the show. I like what they're raising, and we've talked about the different things that we've gotten out of it. But then at the end of the day, if I wasn't talking about it, I would just be like, eh.
Right.
There hasn't been anything that I'm like super, super excited about to be like, yo, you gotta watch this. Like
Yes.
to go see this because like whatever. It's more of like, you know, if I start saying things, I was like, yeah, they're going to a new galaxy. I guess that's kind of cool, but it's not like exciting. Like, oh, but it's a must watch because of that.
It. Yes.
You know, it's not. And I feel like a lot of these like could be must watch moments. You know, as cool as seeing Anakin was, like, I don't know that it was enough to be like, okay, just go watch this episode and then nothing else. Like, I wouldn't say that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't give me like, it was good for Ahsoka and it was good to see Hayden Christensen in the role, but it didn't give me anything that I was kind of like looking for, hoping or whatever.
I totally understand.
Like so I don't know, it's everything. So and apparently speaking of not giving something that someone wants, you know, SHIN gets an offer to you know, go with our little group. Ahsoka reaches her hand out and says, I can help you, and SHIN without a word just turns it down, hightails it out of there, to I don't know where. It could be Baylan or it could be back to Thrawn. Who knows at this point? I don't think she likes Morgan.
Nah.
But maybe again, she is some. I'm glad it seems like maybe SHIN will stick around.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe.
Yes.
I am really, really glad that Ahsoka did reach out. That's what I thought was going to happen. That's what I wanted to happen. I was like, you can't. We said it. I was like, you have your revelations now. Go and bring on more people to your way of doing things. So I'm a little bit disappointed that SHIN turned it down. That's not what we want, you know, but it's like, it also makes sense because like there's a person that has ambition and wants power and stuff, and I guess whatever. But to me, it would be more interesting to see how her dynamic plays out amongst a group of goody two shoes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's not a challenge, Ahsoka training people who want to be trained. You know what I'm saying? it is much more of a challenge to train someone to help someone who is more I was gonna say like more rebellious, but I guess like Sabine is kind of that, but like this, so it's not that, right? Like
Yeah.
they are still receptive to it to a certain extent. Like they're still good guys. They, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
There's not a this. It would be, and not that Ahsoka needs a challenge. I guess I don't know what I'm saying. I just feel like it'd be more interesting if she had gone with them, and maybe there's still a chance. Maybe that might still be a possibility. Maybe she has to see.
Maybe eventually.
Maybe
but
she has to see what is become of her master and where she's going.
Yeah.
And like with now having lost her master and not wanting to have anything to do with witches, or maybe she likes the witches and we don't fucking
Well,
know.
that's what I mean. She was just released into the wild by the person that she's been following for however long. And I don't think that's a decision that she took lightly, even though she did like turn around and leave him. So for like 30 minutes later, for her to be like, oh yeah, I'll just join Ahsoka's team now. Like, I don't think she likes Sabine. I don't think she trusts them necessarily. So I don't think it would be in her character to be like, just like hit that switch. Be like, yeah, I'll join you guys. I think that we're going to have to watch her either struggle to find her place somewhere else, or maybe like weigh the lesser of two evils, or find herself like happenstantially in their company again. But also I love the dynamic between her and Baylan. And we talk about like how special they are, not just individually, but together. So if there's more to this story with Baylan trying to find whatever it is that's special on this planet, it might even be cool to see however that falls apart, and then if like SHIN takes that mantle up.
Yeah, that's the thing is like every time I've kind of asked for something, we almost do get it. Like I know Dave Filoni's smart, and whatever stories he's trying to tell like takes patience to kind of
Mm-hmm.
wrap your head around and see him introduce things and do something new. And maybe it is all leading that last episode. And there's something more there that will come in terms of that dynamic, and we just needed her to. We can't give it away now, you know. And yeah, whether it's a dynamic with Baylan or it's a dynamic with Sabine, you know, or
Yeah.
dynamic with whatever. Like I don't know, and I hope it just doesn't turn out to be, well, she's just the person that ends up being the dark force user that we need to get
Yeah.
rid of, you know, that we need to fight, and then Sabine wins, and finally, because after 3 times of fighting her, she hasn't gotten, you know, and then
Yeah.
defeats her, and then she dies, and then
That would be a bummer.
that's like it, you know. It also feels like that wouldn't even be that interesting of a character arc for Sabine, because like all we've done is here's 2 females that are around the same age that are clearly on opposing sides, and that's like been it.
Mhm.
You know, Sabine doesn't even care so much about that. She's just been almost forced to like have to deal with this one person, you know. And what is the actual rivalry there? It's just because, Shannon, you tell me, women. Is that it? Is it just because you can only have one? You can only have one woman.
There can only be one.
One angsty. There can only be one angsty woman on at
Only
a time.
one of us can have our nails painted at a time.
You know what I'm saying?
I do know what
right?
you're saying. And
please help me.
I don't know. I think maybe it would be more interesting if it's like Sins of the Father is not exactly what I'm trying to say, but like, of course, Sabine and SHIN are gonna connect and clash because Baylan and Ahsoka connect and clash, and it's just like a trickle down effect almost.
Well, that's the thing though. Is like Baylan and Ahsoka were not the first to clash. We got Sabine and SHIN the very first episode. That's what put her in that little hospital bed that she was like, I have to get up for that you love so much, Shannon. If you recall,
Yeah, my favorite scene.
Ahsoka hadn't even run into Baylan at that point. She knew he existed. She knew those 2 existed, but like,
Yeah,
she hadn't dealt with it. She dealt with the Inquisitor in the 2nd episode, so it wasn't even the first episode, you know. So you know what I'm saying? Marok, like she had more to do with Marok before she ever dealt, you know.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
more
yeah.
thinking like they knew each other. They have history together, do they not?
No.
They just know of each other? Ahsoka and Baylan just know of each other? That's it?
Well, Baylan knows of Anakin. Everyone knew Anakin.
Everyone knows of Anakin, but sure. So
And
he's just
he
like heard
probably-
Ahsoka's name.
And Anakin, one of the most famous Jedis alive, Baylan probably knew that Anakin had a Padawan. She was a general in the first. Like, he knows about her. And then I don't think she knew Baylan. And no, there's no, he doesn't exist before this show.
Mm-hmm.
And they've never met. She knew he existed because of the hollow thing that you brought up before, of having seen that there was clearly some Jedi or something out there that had broken Morgan out. Otherwise, she was busy looking for the map for Thrawn. That was her whole thing. There was nothing.
Okay.
So yeah, there was no beef between her and Baylan.
So why do we care then?
Why did we pit Sabine and Shin, which was the whole thing? Yeah, it's not because of some connection between Ahsoka and Baylan. No, that's the team up. That's the clear, like, okay, I'll take the master, you take the Padawan kind of thing. If you're gonna run into them, sure, like that's what happens. But it is just two Padawans phase, and like there was no. That's literally all it is in terms of. There's no it's there because it's there. Because
Shin
they're on
fought
opposing
Sabine
sides,
because she was in Ezra's apartment and she was looking for the map.
Yeah.
So there was no beef there either. Sabine was just there and in the way.
Yeah, there's not a real. Yeah, it's literally just like being on opposite sides. That's what I'm saying. There's not any motivation beyond we're two Padawan women on opposite sides and like around,
And I ran into you first.
Around similar and we are constantly going to keep clashing, and we didn't fight, but there's no like, there's nothing in it for Sabine and there's nothing in it for Shin and on an emotional level or whatever like that.
Yeah.
That keeps them, they're the things on a line. Like mostly Shin has been doing it because she's been told to.
Yeah.
And mostly Sabine has been doing it because she's the other person with the lightsaber.
She's being attacked. Yeah. Okay.
But then there's none of them share any words whatsoever. So it's I don't recall them ever saying anything to each other. They just give each other looks, and that's where I'm getting the like. It's just
Friends to lovers,
women hating women thing again.
Yeah, that's boring.
Well, you can tell me if I'm seeing that or not. Like,
no, I mean, well, you just said it. Like, what else is it then? Because there's no other motivation other than we're just pitting the two girls against each other for funsies.
Yeah, I mean,
weak.
like, there's an idea that like Shin to get, she doesn't get how many Jedi has she fought? So, and she can't even. They did share words in terms of like when Shin was like, "You have no power" and all that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, and power means a lot to her. So there was actually like something about that, and then there was a cool dynamic between like her and Ezra, where it's like, okay, Ezra balances Sabine, right? I guess, they kind of did it well. They still had to be saved by Ahsoka, so I don't know that that it really worked. It really, and he got knocked out anyway. So
yeah.
But there's a sense of pride for Shin to need to be the winner. I guess if I could put anything on it. Just the fact that like this person who is clearly not that trained, has no power, is constantly one-upping me, or getting the better of me, or at least stalemating me, and I'm not able to like take them out. I guess you could say that ambition to just be better, is there.
Yeah.
We know Sabine maybe has the same. Again, they're mirrors of each other. I'm sure there's something there. I just wish that we could actually see that expressed in some actual way, you know, instead of just like looks of like whatever. And then like that's not satisfying.
Right.
And then they're only going to make it satisfying because I think it's going to be like, okay, so then Shin's going to do something completely bad that we're going to have to kill her. You know, that like it has to be by Sabine because like they've been clashing or whatever. And it's like, make it justifiable. Whereas like but as opposed to like, again, the more interesting thing is like actually maybe showing where their similarities lie as opposed to the differences, you know, and as opposed to like, it's classic good versus evil. I was like, I don't even see that, you know, but they're going to do that. It feels like they always do that with Star Wars at the end. I don't know. I'm tired of trying to find something or talk about something that like, if you're not enjoying it, we're not finding it. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's like all the things that we're saying is like, we like this stuff. People keep talking about enemies to lovers like it's a thing that actually exists. Does it actually exist in any of the media that you're aware of? Because don't think I've ever actually seen it.
Everything I'm thinking of, I'm like, no, that's fanfic. That's fanfic. That's fanfic. Oh,
you know. So there are
Pride and Prejudice. Just kidding. I've never read that book.
There are people who have opposing views that learn to like get along. But I don't think they were enemies. You know, so there to a certain extent, in some mediums, I could call it an enemy to lovers kind of thing, but not when it's like
Avatar.
Did Zuko and
oh, baby doll. I'm thinking the blue people Avatar. The Na'vi falls in love with the like war guy.
No, that's not the same.
And
that's
he's the
not.
lovers.
No, that's not.
I'm on Google right now.
That's like Romeo and Juliet kind of like enemies. Like we are born on opposite sides, so we gotta like
we're not
fight
real
kind
enemies.
Of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Someone, you know what, guys? There's your thing. Tell us when does enemies lovers actually wear out, but like true enemies. Like I'm thinking like when you think of like good versus evil, like this person is clearly like if I'm sitting here like the true enemies right now are Thrawn versus Ahsoka, right?
And then
whereas some people would be like, well, you know, like Ezra and Sabine didn't always get along, so I was like, that's not the fucking same. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about people who maybe don't get along and maybe have like a little bit of opposing views, but kind of align on certain things or whatever that clearly like on the same. Like we're talking about like this is the bad guy, this is the good guy, this is your, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Where does that actually happen? People are gonna bring up like Rey and Kylo Ren, and I'm like, what? When were they?
I'm really trying to think now.
I don't think so. Do you think that one counts, Shannon? Is that enemies to lovers? Kylo Ren and Rey.
I mean, that one's not bad, right?
It's
that one. I feel like that's as
I mean,
close
they
as we've
shared a
gotten
kiss.
so far.
I don't know if they were like lovers, and also were they really enemies?
Yeah, or was that's really funny. I'm on
Is it always?
I'm on Screen Rant, and that's the first thing that popped up is Kylo Ren and Rey.
Sure. Is it always the guy? You know, the bad guy with the heart. He's just a guy, like, I can change him kind of guy. Is it that? Is that what y'all just really want?
I can change him.
Is that the enemies of lovers that y'all are looking for? Is that just that Sabine can... We're on a whole tangent now. And
we are, and I'm deep down the rabbit hole. What about Leslie Knope and Ben from Parks and Recreation?
Yeah, because, like, I've seen that. No.
You haven't seen Parks and Rec?
No.
Wow.
But you tell me then.
I mean, that one's not a bad one. But when I'm thinking of, Sam Puckett and Freddie Benson, they were friends. I'm thinking of the fanfics of like Draco Malfoy and Hermione Granger. Like enemies to lovers. Like that is an enemy to lover.
That's a good one. That never happened.
I'm also thinking like Shigo and Kim Possible. Another dream duo of mine. Never happens, but they're enemies, and then they should smooch. So yeah, no, maybe we just do love that.
To me, like one of the best ones, again, Red Rising does some really good like enemies to lovers because there's like because when they were not to I won't give names. I won't spoil everything, but the first book is about like Hunger Games style like factions having to like be against each other. They literally are practicing war by
Mhm.
killing each other, and it's a training. It's like an institute, right? I think they call it the institute.
They
Anyway,
do.
and those some of those people end up going from enemies to lovers. Some of them go from like allies that are kind of enemies to like lovers, and then there's like also there's a clear like some of them are lovers in the only sexual sense. You were once my enemy, but I also think you're hot and like whatever.
But I will bed thee.
But I'm not gonna be on your side, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So there's a few of things there. I feel like you can pull from some books that I haven't read that might have similar things. I just don't feel like you ever get like
True. Full scale. Yeah. I
they're
think
never ever all that bad as an enemy.
Yeah,
they're
that's
never
true.
truly like
they're never real enemies.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm with it. Okay.
They're just misunderstood or whatever,
Yeah, or they just have that tension, but like,
Yeah.
I don't love your personality all the time because you're a
Yeah.
little too this, like Leia and Han Solo. Like, they were never enemies to lovers. All right, well, that was fun. That was a fun little.
I like talking about tropes. TV tropes and movie tropes are like fun when we get to bring them up and like figure out like how they're being subverted and stuff. So we talk about those a lot. We would like to see Shin and Sabine. At least,
Yes.
again, I'm not even looking for lovers. I'm just looking for like friends. She's looking for.
I'm looking for lovers. Respectfully.
What would you anything else you'd like to see? Would you like to see Ezra die? Would you like to see Baylan get release Ragnarok upon the world? What if he destroys this galaxy?
Good for him.
We introduce a galaxy and just kill this galaxy.
They were like, you know what? Never mind. We can't have this.
Can never go back.
No, I don't know if you remember, like, I think the first or second episode we did, I was like, I kind of hope Ezra's dead, which was very ballsy of me to say, but I still think that would be an interesting, even though it's a trope, because when it happens to women, I'm like, cool, we killed the woman to motivate the man, but in this one, I'm like, it might be beneficial if Ezra was unavailable. Who's to say?
Yeah. I'm curious to see what we're dynamic we're building to in terms of the group. Like what is the thing? Like, once they get back, let's assume they all get back, right? What is the thing? Do they form their group again? They no longer have like, of course their fight will be against Thrawn. I was like, man, the psycho Baylan's right. It just keeps on fucking going. For these people, they can't get out of it. I do think you're right. We're gonna get reanimated army. That might be the thing that gets introduced for later too. That might not be a let's get rid of them all in the next episode. There's a lot to wrap up. A lot of people are hoping that it's a long episode.
Yeah.
I don't mind if it's long or short as long as it packs in enough story. That's the problem for me, is that how little story has been packed into these things.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like you could be packing in a lot.
For how like place steady this episode was, I'm really hoping that it's because they were setting the dominoes to fall completely in the next episode. Like, I really hope they're saving all of their dynamite for the last episode, and it better be a big explosion.
I mean, don't get me wrong, they've come a long way from that first episode. There's a lot technically has kind of happened. That's the thing. It's like yes and no.
I mean, we've traveled to a different galaxy, and we found Thrawn and Ezra.
World between worlds. We traveled to another galaxy. We have established where the Republic is and what is going on with that. We have witches. We have HK assassin droids. We have, stealing hyperspace drives and building huge ring. Like there's there's a little, I don't know. Maybe it's just in this minor things where like nothing's happened. Like the characters haven't taken any journeys.
Yeah.
Sabine is still where she started.
Yeah, after she cut her hair.
Ahsoka's changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Just like a little bit. Yeah. Baylan's still where he started. Shin's still where she started. Ezra didn't start anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, all the characters have not really gone to any except for Ahsoka, which is fine. It's her show.
It is her show, so she earned it.
So, at the end of the day, I guess that's what I would have hoped for, and I feel like, okay, great. Now, that's what I feel like is going to happen, where it packs so much of the character journeys into one episode. I'm like, you could have been doing this the whole time.
Yeah, and probably setting up for bigger emotional stakes in the movie that's coming, I guess, too. More of the journeying will happen there. I hope they keep Shin around. I really like her. It's too bad. I say it every week. It's too bad we don't get Baylan anymore, but maybe we'll still get to hang out with Shin. We'll see next week, I guess. What's to happen of our friends?
Great. Well, what are you anticipating? What do you want to see? Like, are you also, do you have any thoughts on friends to lovers or enemies to lovers or whatever? Do you like this episode of Ahsoka? Do you hate it? Do you
This
wish
episode was fine.
Star Wars would stop? Do you wish, whatever, write to us at codependentcontent@gmail.com. You can go to our Discord, vulgarianorder.com. Find any of these links, any of these names, any of this in the description or the whatever. You can also comment on YouTube, wherever you find this. You can continue yelling at us on TikTok if you're out there. If I even put clips up, because I'm busy, I got jobs to do. But yeah,
You're
and
so
you can
busy.
always, but yeah, reach out to us. We are doing these normally live. I think next week is also unfortunately not going to be live, and who cares? But we're still going to be talking about stuff. I know that we have a couple weeks before Loki. I think Loki is immediate, and the week after. I guess we're talking about Loki after that. We're going to find a way. And it's coming out on Thursdays now?
Oh, fuck, I don't know.
I think
I
it's
don't remember.
Thursdays are new, so we'll probably we'll get you a podcast on the weekend. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll let y'all know. Until then, Shannon, one more episode to go of Star Whales.
I'm down.
Do you think we're going to see them again, Shannon? Think the Star Whales are gone?
I don't think the Star Whales are gone. And I know you're trying to wrap this up, but now that I'm thinking about it, we have, that we know of, two options. All of our characters have to get on that hyper thingy.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Or we have to get back on the space whales.
I don't think the space whales are coming back.
So we're all going to have to end up on that little ring of murder.
That's what I thought.
And high-speed space travel.
That's what I thought. Or the planet's a hyperspace thing itself, and then whatever.
Man, if you were Ezra and you were trapped on that planet this whole time and you were like, I could have just done what and got the fuck off this planet? Cool. All right.
Well, we'll see next week on Codependent Content. See you then. Later, guys. Bye.